I don't want sex. I just get lost in the desire that sexually conquering females is what makes me valuable and desirable. Whether it be scoffing at them to let them know that they could never have sex with me or actually dominating them sexually. My concession that I am emotionally unattractive is what creates the void that allows the desire to compel me to fill said void with the energy heisted from sexual conquest. My concession that I am emotionally unattractive currently stems from being aware of all my destructive behaviors yet refusing to refrain from them out of self-pity. Once I cave to self-pity, I thus create a self or perception to hate, and though this perception is an illusion stemming from misidentification, the illusion becomes real the more I hate myself through acts of self-sabotage. Self-sabotage is inherently a waste of energy, but the ultimate goal is to sabotage my energy so that I can be powerless or without energy when I actually need it. This furthers the perception of deficit. Being at an illusory deficit, one can reach for illusory gains, essentially taking 2 steps back to somehow or falsely feel accomplished when taking 1 step forward, even though that ground or lesson had already been previously advanced upon. This is the basis of the separation or the illusion of separation, of greater than and less than, of high and low. In separation, one feels the illusion of being able to advance. In oneness, one realizes that reduction is advancement. Reduction of need is production of being. But people want to want. People want to be wanted. So we succumb to the illusion of separation. Once you begin stopping, once the oneness is more apparent and you see things kaleidoscopically, the more you see just how much separation people create within themselves in attempts to grasp an illusion. You realize it starts with lying to you. That's where pride stems from, which creates physical separations in the body, since you can't live with you and pride simultaneously. You have to distract and live in distraction, metaphysically and physically, which brings toxins and invites parasites to process said toxins and the wasted cells that are created from the toxins. Pride attracts parasites to fill the gaps in being for you. Your reality has to be maintained by them, the parasites, since you've given your value to the external. Externalizing your will or energy keeps you in a place of desire and wanting to be desired, as opposed to simply being, so that you can see the whole moment, and thus realize you are the whole moment, not an isolated event. You are complete, and attempting to add to what is complete is disrespectful. There are no regrets when you live completely without waste. Without regret, there is no desire. Regret is being lost in the past. Desire is being lost in the future. Desire is astral projection. The imagination is holographic. Manifestation begins with vision. Having vision is having insight. Having insight, one sees where they stem from, thus one sees where they're headed, which keeps one immersed in making the most of the moment. After all, one is the moment. Again, there is no separation, and the separations between death and life are what create a lot of the issues. And the traumas and parasites that get in between the transitions of death and life, or this dream and the last dream. Total recall is lack of separation. All the memories are seamless. There's no separation or blanks in the memories, and the blanks are coming from amnesia. And the amnesia is coming from trauma. So whether you're traumatizing others or being traumatized is you can't live with yourself in those moments because the self is unconquerable peace. So anything that's not that, the self is not in alignment with that. So there's separations created within the body that create separations with you and your own dreams where you're not even at the helm in your dreams. Again, like when a plant reaches its roots into the ground and supposedly absorbs the water in the ground, it's not absorbing the water is becoming it. The roots aren't getting bigger by absorbing the moisture. They're becoming the moisture. The moisture and the roots become one. There's no separation. It's not a tree is not an isolated event. It is the environment. The environment produced it. Everything ever contributed to my creation, to your creation. Everything ever is the environment that nurtured this, that made this possible. So it's the same thing with a tree or anything. Nothing is an isolated event. It's the oneness of things. There's no separation between the water and the ground and the roots. They're one, and the soil. Everything. It's just like when you pass. You're going to go back into the soil. You release your last breath, and then any other gas that's in the body, everything in the body gets eaten up by microbes, and that gets converted into gas and expelled by them. That's that nasty smell. Once the microbes eat you up and poop you out, and then that creates fertile life for more bugs and everything in the ground. So there's no separation between life and death. There's no separation between last dream and this dream. There's no separation between dark and light or anything. There's no separation. But every time you create separation within the body, you can perceive it. So when you separate organs through eating things that are not nourishing you, but just are satisfying your taste buds, you're creating separation in your body, a hierarchy in your body where you value the tongue over the organs. It's separation in the bowels because the walls are no longer touching. So that creates a void. And then that void is created daily, and then you solidify that void, almost that space within you, that emptiness within you. You have to collapse that through breath work so that you can feel your whole nervous system, your whole body, all your cells, and be present fully in the body. And then you can go beyond that identity to where you're fully in the moment. Your presence and your breath is the whole moment. So, and, self-pity is what gets in the way of that, and you have to have a self to have pity for it, to hate it, because the pride is creating the shame. The shame, you don't go after opportunities when you're shameful. You don't take them as they come. So then that creates grief. So it's pride, shame, grief. Then you get more attachment from the grief, and then that creates more pride in a reverse. It's just more pride, shame, and grief. That's the constant flip, like folding or flipping of misidentification. That's where it goes. So instead of the patience leading to the patience, compassion, and the simplicity. So you have patience, then you can have compassion for things and everything for yourself, and then your life becomes more simple. So that's how the three should go, and that should create the contentment, the patience, compassion, and the simplicity. They fold into each other, but people go from pride to shame to grief, and then they just toggle. So that's just one is separate. One is a separate trinity, and one is complete. The Father, the Son, and the Spirit are all one. The breath, the consciousness, and the will are all one. There's no separation. They all come together. If you're not breathing, you have no consciousness, and then you have no will. The breath is the spirit. So there's no separation in that. When you have the separations in the body that come from misidentification, then we get what we get. We get self-pity.